My name is Professor James Kanya. I am representing the Presidential Working Party on Education Reforms team, which is visiting Isiolo County to collect information on the education issues. Isiolo, to give them the chance so that they air their views on education matter, which ranges from pre-primary, primary, secondary, tertiary, all the way to the university. So it's not about CBC, but we are talking about the education entirely in the country. What does it entail? What is the problem? What are the issues which can be reformed? We are not talking about disbanding CBC. The issue is that we were coming to collect information which affects or which member or people here feel needs to be corrected, and we have gotten them. Some of the issues, of course, I think you have heard for yourselves. They have talked about them, and we are going to collect all this information, put it in our reports, and then there will be recommendations. Note that what we have in the country, this is one of them. We have 10 groups across the country collecting the same information. For Isiolo County, they have expressed their problems, especially this being a Naso area. They have talked about, among other things, about the use of gadgets. That is the smartphone is a major issue. The pastoralist issue, that is students are not able to reach the schools in good time. The parents even do not read. So they have expressed all this, and we are going to take it and consider among other issues raised. So we know this is an issue, and they have thanked the president for forming this committee or this working party, because it has given them a chance to express themselves. So in essence, what we are saying is that we are happy with the people of Isiolo for turning up in large numbers. Among the standing issues which has come out strongly, one is about the cost of CBC. Literally everybody is talking about it. The second one is the use of gadgets. The parents don't seem to accept the activities being given to them by their children. And they are citing the gadgets as an example that they are not able to read or to use the smartphones. 2, 3, they are asking. Now the time even for them to do it, they are saying they will not have time to go look for food, especially here being a Naso area, there is the problem with the food. So as they cost the system, they're asking now, what do they do? Is it the food or the cost which they are doing? So those are the two major issues which have come up. They have also talked about university. They have said this is an area where there is no university and they would like to have one. I mean, other counties have, so they have raised that as a key area also would consider as a worthwhile. Other many issues have been raised, of course, concerning the teacher, including the curriculum structure and the books, textbooks. They have talked of textbooks, some of them being very bulky, especially PE and others. And also the fact that some could be having so they want the books checked, the content checked. So this is about the teacher and the parents. Concerning the general community, what they are saying is that they have no problem with the CBC. If only these issues are going to be sorted out, the government is going to look at them and they will be happy with the system. No, what we have is that of course we are doing this, we are collecting data now, and the working party goes for 6 months, but within the 6 months, we are going to give the report, a mid-report, which is going to be used by the consumer, that is the government. So we do not want to preempt what is going to happen now. But for us, is to collect the data or information and make our report. So the recommendation, it is upon the government now to give its verdicts. I want to say this is a very extensive data collection and information because we started the whole job work yesterday. Yesterday, we selected a number of schools within Isiolo County, selected some board. We went there, we talked to teachers directly, we talked to pupils, we talked to the administration, and even we under an observation of the school, generally, so that we understand the climate, or I mean the environment of the school. This was done within a number of schools. You can see now that is reaching the real consumer. That is the teacher, pupil, and the administration. And they gave us their verdicts or their issues. We collected across the Isiolo County. So that is, and today we have met everybody, including Mama Boga, Boda Boda, the Jua Kari, and the stakeholders who are the Kesha, Kisha, and all that. So in entirety, we have everybody who has been involved. That is the education system, including the parenting. Remember, I've said, education touches everybody. If you don't have a child, you have a grandparent, you have a grandchild, you have a sister, you have a brother, you have a mother, you have a father. All these things rotate or revolve around the school. And therefore, that is why we think everybody was important in this engagement.
We as Kenyans, don't we want to make a change in life? Should we remain static because things are expensive? I've been to some of the nations outside there. They'll tell you when they talk of free education, it is the government that does the funding, everything. So why are we against the new development where we can say, the other day I saw the statistics, Kenyans, we are not so poor the way we may think. That is as a nation. Why don't we give a task to the government as we are praising the new president today? Why don't we give him a great task that we want full funding of this free education on CBC? Why don't we say that? Because those are the recommendations I think they want to hear. That people of Isiolo, we have said, CBC is okay, we are promoting. But people of Merti have no roads. People of, I don't know other places, internet is not there. People, I don't know, for Donyura, I don't know, we have no roads. Because we can't go there to take electricity and these other facilities if we have no roads, we have no communications. So it is the government to do that. And if they come on the ground to support us, why should we say CBC is expensive? The government will do it. When you hear this, you know we believe white person is rich. When you go there, you find it is government doing everything. And when we talk of voting, we say that we can't scrape away voting. I'm talking now as a religious woman. I'm against voting because a child has to grow with a parent. We are running away from our own responsibilities. When you go to Nairobi, there are rich people do not have boarding schools. That's why you see Monday to Friday we have big traffics in Nairobi because people want their children to go and they come back as they monitor them. But for us, we want that washing of hands. Mwalimu is now the parent of the kid. So I wish to recommend that please when you go, we want, if we talk of free education, if we talk we want CBC, can the president, the way alisema nakunja shati, akunje hilo shati vizuri na watu wake. We know we are rich. It is corruption that is finishing Kenya. That money, I normally see in parliament, when the MPs, they decide that today we want our salary to be increased, they stay there until midnight, isn't it? And at the end of it, they get the money. Why don't they bring where does this money come from? That it cannot be taken in schools, in government institutions, and even private. So that is the recommendation I make one. For me, I support CBC because I don't believe in static. There are people who are there in intermediate schools. I don't know those days of my mother's. It came to, I don't know, class 7. It came to 844. Why should the generation of today say we want to remain where we were until 20 years, 30 years to come? We should not remain where we are because it is expensive, it is expensive, it is expensive. As a teacher, I promote development. I promote a change and not to remain there because I fear. I know CBC is expensive, yes, but when we introduce something new, we know there is always fear of the unknown, isn't it? But we are ready to hold those horns together with the help of the government, our able president, and things will change tomorrow. Those gadgets, when we introduce, for example, like the usage of the computers and everything in the schools, I wish that the government under the communication authority can, kuna hizi vitu za pornography or those materials, maybe kunaweza kuuliza in case they are there, this authority, communication authority, wafungie hivyo vitu kule. Because sisi hatuna time ya kwenda sijui tunangangana na mtoto ameangalia ama hajaangalia. Hiyo point mwambie wape authority to those communication authority, those things weze kufungwa. Assessment. My dears, in schools we have a problem with assessing. I don't believe also in competition. The way someone was saying here, that now they removed 90%, 100%, kids are not competing. Do you know that a poor child, that child who had no right brain was suffering a lot under this system that is ending? But with the CBC, all kids are the same, the way those kids talked there. And for me, I like that. And when I hold meet with my parents, you will see the supporters of CBC. They are those whose kids are average and below, because now they see their kids have been catered for. Like in one ambao watoto ni masomo and they are right here. CBC is not okay, it's all because they want to say 100%. Where are we throwing that poor child who God has not blessed with that brain that is bright? For me, as the church, I cater for that kid. And so that one makes me to promote CBC.
As a parent, I have no issue with CBC. As a parent. The only thing I would like is we need to evaluate brighter students early enough to that system. Yeah? And maybe if the student is brighter, they can be moved to the next class. Yeah, my younger brother, in fact not one, two of them, yeah, both from standard 6 to standard 8. Now one of them is an engineer, the other one is a veterinary doctor. That says something. So if you get a brighter student, move them to the next class and they proceed. You need to identify the skill sets that these children have and group them together so that they can enhance these skill sets. About physical education. Physical education, we need to we domesticate it. I've heard about cricket, about softball, but we have soccer, we have other sports, we have athletics, we have rugby that are here in Kenya. Why don't we use those sports other than getting new? We can introduce new sports later once we have used the sports that we have already existing within us. And then I would like to challenge the private sector. They say opportunity means preparedness. I would like to challenge the private sector to invest in education. We are hearing that there are no facilities, junior high. Why doesn't the private sector take up these opportunities and put up these facilities? And the government, one or the other, can either rent them, or there's a way that investors can invest in education with these opportunities. There is the issue of also equipment. Private sector can also be involved. These are opportunities that are being presented. We should not look at them as hurdles. Some of these opportunities are being presented within the education space.
My name is John Ubai, the leader of special needs, the persons with disability who are professionals in the Eastern region. Now, first, I would like to give my heartfelt congratulations to His Excellency Dr. William Samuel Ruto for seeing it fit to include the people, the common people, the real customers or the real consumers of education. I think I am sure, not I think now, he is worth to be a doctor. His education is doing him a very good favor because everything we do under this earth is all about relevancy. And relevancy, you can know whether your action, your product, your service is relevant if it is well received by the consumer, and it can be well received when you ask for their views before putting it in place. So, convey my congratulations to him. Secondly, the presidential working party who are represented here. Dr. Samuel Ruto tasked you with the responsibility of one, co-opting people who may add value to your committee. And according to the list I saw of the members you put there, I don't think there is any person with a disability there. So I think you can tap his wisdom and co-opt some people, one or two, who have disability, so that they can add value to your work, and they manage the data for persons with disability, so that your task force or your commission can stand out from the previous, because the previous had either no or very shallow information about the persons with disability and had no way to implement it. That is one of my recommendations. Secondly, is about the CBC. The CBC was coming to replace the 844. But the way it was brought like there was no system in place. So it started from bottom. When you are renovating a house, you start renovating from the roof, from the top. So I think it would have started from the teacher training, then it comes to the high school, so that, because even when you are starting a shop, you first of all talk about or consider something to do with the personnel, those who will work in your business, so that you can give the customer a deal which is well cooked. So, by making this education system or a ground-breaking system, they give the customer something like a road deal. And congratulations to Dr. William Ruto, because he is on the road to correct that mess. Secondly, is about the education system, the learning institution. As of now, all the systems, education institutions, are run by crisis. And that crisis can be negative or positive. But whether negative or positive is a crisis. Because when they want to change the head of institution, that head is maybe retiring, or there is a conflict which makes that head or administrator to be thrown out. Those are two crises. And with that, with all the development projects or the good things which were in place, that head goes with them, whether retired or even changed away or otherwise. So I think there should be a transition from one administrative dispensation to another, so that we don't manage by crisis. So that if one of the heads is retiring, maybe something can be done 6 months before, so that they can transit. That is why you see most of the development, even those projects, and even the CBC projects are going to be affected. They just go with the previous institution administration. Another thing is about the content. The content of our books is very deficient. It does not have something which can support the learner. So, I recommend that teachers should be involved in writing those books, as we have seen. Another thing is about this is the real problem now. The Teacher Service Commission, a thorn in the flesh. This is where the real problem lies. The Teacher Service Commission, to begin with, I will talk mostly about the persons with disability. The people we see with disability, we look at the blackboard, and we have changed that blackboard, the blackboard you see in the class, to be the pressure board. Because most of us are prone to blood pressure or death. One, the service commission, they tamper with the pays of those people who have them, the tax exemption, the disability kind allowance. You look at the payslip this month, and you hear that your pay will be either be reduced even to half or something like that, which is the third rule. Because they have the third rule, they can give that, they can give you a that. And when you are given that, you have somebody who should be assisting you in school. Sometimes you even take employee loans to pay those people. And with employee loans, we will pay with interest. But we are not paid those salaries with interest. That is one. Secondly, when we are in schools, we have many of the school heads who are here, and they have people with a disability, especially people with visual disability, in their schools. And they can bear me witness that we are exposed through the same observation metric with other teachers, but we have no braille books. We have no materials. And the local grassroots offices of both the Teacher Service Commission and the ministry, they are very good at the PR. They tell us, go to your head teacher. Let your head teacher come to us. The head teacher is the bridge between you and the office. And I don't think there is any head teacher who has or who may want to ever go to the office to communicate about braille or any other equipment because they don't know. So, we are just left like that. Another thing, they keep on shifting blame to one another. The TSC says it's the ministry through FPE who should be buying those materials. So I recommend that the TSC and your committee recommends a structure where the persons with a disability can be having equipment and materials and allowance maybe. And all those allowances, they should never be stopped because the disability kind and the disability status do not change. Another thing, all the documents of persons with disability, for example, the tax exemption certificates, the medical reports, they expire. The question is this, are they the same with mandazis in the market? Documents in mandazis will just expire. I don't see how the documents can expire. I think that is wrong setting of mind. I don't think those people in high posts should wait to get disability so that they act. Kwa sababu kuna watu kwa tunajadiliana na wao, tunaambiana unajua mtu mkubwa akipata disability change itafanyika. Tukasema hata kwa Biblia si watu waliokoka. Those who are disturbing Christians and executing them. Waliokoka ndio waanze hiyo mambo, sio? So I don't think it's a good way to say hawa watu wakubwa hawa kuna hizo changes wapata disability ndio waweze kueffect change. Why should they wait for it? If it is that one, I think they can get it. Simuliona watu wakitakaswa wakakaa na moto kwa Biblia pengine. Those who are Christians. So I think you can go the same direction.
This is expensive, but we are pleading with the government and our president to support the parents, support the CBC. Change is difficult, but without change, we can't move forward. Sasawa, it's expensive. With that expense, if the government is going to help us, then we can accept that change. But without government support, then that change will be very difficult for us. Some of us who are coming from interior, some of us who don't have that money to pay for, leave alone to pay school fees. Buy those things that CBC is requiring from us. See, maybe some parents are well money-wise,